Hello and welcome back to 20th Century Dude. And I'm sure that by now you've probably already heard the news that we're getting. Who even friggin' knows how many Star Wars movies at this point? Like Dawn of the Jedi or something from Mangled. The controversial Rey movie, which I would hope goes away. It probably won't. I know Kathleen Kennedy won't let it be that way. But most recently, supposedly, we are getting a Mandalorian and Grogu movie, which is a further continuation of the Mandoverse. But in case it has been a little obvious already, I'm pretty sure they only put that there before the Rey movie because of Charmin, what's her name's controversial statements about making men uncomfortable, and of course really nobody thought well of those statements. I mean, who would? I mean, I can't imagine. I mean, if a guy said that about making a woman uncomfortable, I can't even imagine the outrage that would be pouring on the internet. Shame on men, probably bringing back the Me Too's and stuff like that. But yeah, I have a feeling that was only put there for damage control. But it's also one of those things, like, concerning the whole Mandoverse, is like, do we really need this? Did anybody really ask for this? Like, the Ahsoka show and the Skeleton Crew show. Like, who really asked for those? Or even non-Mandoverse projects like Tales of the Jedi or possibly even the Bad Batch. Like, did we all really want those? I mean, not really. I mean, if we can look back on all the original announcements, what was it, back in 2020? Let's take a look at all of those shows for a minute. I mean, more seasons in The Mandalorian, we know that. Andor was announced. Rangers in the New Republic, which we could have got as part of the Mandoverse, but that was eventually canceled because of the whole Gina Carano thing, although at this point I even wonder if even bringing Gina Carano back would fix Disney's whole situation, but I doubt it at this point. I mean, I suppose it is one of those things where it's too little too late. Then we had the Ahsoka show, which nobody really wanted. The Obi-Wan show, which some people wanted, but ended up being the worst things Disney ever made. Bad Batch, nobody really wanted. Vision's somewhat forgotten, but actually one of the better things, I guess, depending on the project. The Lando thing, movie or show, I don't know. Nobody wanted it. We'll just go with that. Rogue Squadron, canceled. Acolyte, can't imagine very many people want. It's probably going to be horrible if leaks are true. A Droid Story, I don't even know what the frick that is. Is that supposed to be like a live-action, like, modern-day version of Star Wars droids from the 80s? Again, who really asked for it? Not me, anyway. I didn't ask for most of the stuff. I don't really freaking care. None of it interests me. I don't really care about a lot of it. Like, honestly, I mean, remember the days when we only had like one or two Star Wars shows at a time? Like, remember when Clone Wars was the only thing on television? Remember when Star Wars Rebels was the only thing for Star Wars on television? That was good enough, especially considering we had a whole new slate of movies going on at the same time. Who really asked for any of this stuff? I feel like most of it anyway we could have done without, which I mean, for me, is a big problem for the Mandoverse. Like, we didn't need a big cinematic universe format for Star Wars going forward. We really did not need the Mandoverse. Like I said, if all we had was like the Mandalorian and Andor, if that's all we had TV show wise right now, I feel like that would be fine. That's okay. if, like, especially if we didn't have any other form of television or movies or something, that's fine. And fans wouldn't have fatigue. We would not be tired of it. Casual audience members wouldn't be tired of it. If anything, Star Wars fatigue applies more now than what it did when Solo came out, right? Like, I'm not hyped for these things anymore, because the whole thing about Star Wars being an event series, in the first place, it's gone. Star Wars isn't an event anymore, because I no longer care. I don't really care about Star Wars going forward, because none of these projects interest me. And most of what is put on Disney Plus anyway is, quite frankly, either mid, forgettable, or a bunch of garbage. Like the Obi-Wan show. Horrible. Maybe it's not as bad as the sequel trilogy, but it's definitely the worst thing since the sequel trilogy, and I feel like the Acolyte show, going further, is going to be the same thing. It's going to be the worst thing since the sequel trilogy. It might be almost as bad as that. But going back to not caring, like the whole Rey movie, I don't remember anybody other than Kathleen Kennedy asking for a Rey movie. Nobody asked for the Rey movie. Didn't we get technically 3 Rey movies anyway? And last I checked, she was the most beloved Star Wars character since Jar Jar Binks. We'll just put it that way, right? Like, she isn't universally accepted, like, as a character. Daisy Ridley as a person is fine. Like, I'm not judging her on that, but the character she played was just... Rey sucked. The Rey character sucked. It was an awful character, right? So this whole Mandalorian and Grogu movie, like Disney putting it out thinking, oh, yeah, we'll get fans back on track. This will get something, that'll be something that makes them get excited again. Like, they like the Mandalorian and Grogu and stuff, right? I mean, we did up until Book of Boba Fett and Season 3 of The Mandalorian, so... yeah. I feel like Grogu definitely should have stayed with Luke, to train with Luke. That would have been the best thing for him, and then all the Mandalorian characters could have gone off and did their own thing without Grogu. Because if Season 3 of Mando proved anything, Grogu was actually one of the worst aspects of it. Now he's the thing kind of holding the Mandalorian back, and that's a problem. But what else is holding Mandalorian back is the fact that this whole Mandoverse, and since they basically have Marvelized Star Wars at this point, is that there's all these projects that we basically have to do homework on now, most of which I don't care about, and people are disinterested. I mean, so basically going into like the Mandalorian movie now, we have to watch all the seasons of The Mandalorian. We have to watch Book of Boba Fett and Ahsoka and Skeleton Crew. Who knows friggin' what else by that point? Honestly, I don't care. I don't really care about any of this. I can't imagine even the Mandalorian movie, even depending on who it's directed by, it's not going to be good. Because I don't care. None of it really matters. And I think another problem is, and the thing that Disney is really messing up right now with the whole Marvel thing, Star Wars is not Marvel. It's not. They are 2 completely different franchises with 2 completely separate goals. Okay? They have distinct goals and are distinct by themselves. Okay? So you can't really Marvelize Star Wars. It doesn't work like that. What worked for the Infinity Saga anyway for Marvel worked, but that doesn't mean that's going to apply to Star Wars then. Because even if we get to a big, Mandoverse movie, this Mandalorian / Grogu film, is anybody really truly going to care? Is it really going to matter? Because it's a problem now where it is really too much Star Wars. I wish I could say it's too much of a good thing, but it's too much, and not all of it's good. Not all of it's good. Because a lot of Star Wars, it just kind of sucks right now. Like, I don't care. Because I think it's even getting to the point where, unfortunately, since Andor Season 2 is releasing in 2025 instead of 2024, I'm sure like most of us would have wanted anyway. Once that comes out and the last season of the show hits, and I watch it all, I don't know. That's it for me. I don't really care about Star Wars going forward because none of it interests me. Even the Mandoverse movie. If I even get around to seeing it, it might be a thing I watch once and that's it. I don't care. Andor is like one of the only things I care about at this point. Once that's over, I'm done. There's been what? 40 to almost 50 years of Star Wars stuff that I have to divulge in myself in. That's fine. It's the same way with Star Trek. Like the first 40 to 50 years or so of Star Trek, that's enough for me. All these Kurtzman TV shows and whatnot, I guess it's Paramount Plus now or something. I don't care about any of those. I don't want to watch any of those. Well, for one, it's not Star Trek me, but again, it goes back. It's not even too much of a good thing. It's just too much, and none of it's good. And there's just so much of it now. I don't care anymore. I don't really care about it going forward. It's not an event, and they're trying to Marvelize something that isn't really Marvel to begin with, which I think is a problem. But yeah, I guess anyway, there's my frustrated rant about the whole thing, about why we Marvelize something that didn't need Marvelization, I guess you can call it. And it's obvious this Mando movie we're supposed to get in a couple of years, that's damage control, sort of hopefully soften the blow before the controversial Rey movie releases. You know, again, the movie that nobody wanted, nobody asked for the Rey movie, except Kathleen Kennedy. How she still has a job at this point, I really don't know. I don't know how she's still employed by Disney. I don't know. Even if they do fire her, if they're just going to run into the problem of, oh, they fired her, it's because she's a woman and you people are being discriminatory. It's not that at all. She's a terrible CEO of Lucasfilm. She's horrible at her job. Fans hate her. She doesn't exactly have a stellar reputation. So, I mean, if Bob Iger were smart at Disney, he'd get rid of her already. I don't know how much good that would do at this point, since it's, again, too little too late. But yeah, getting her would at least help a little. But yeah, that's my frustrated rant of the day. Again, why we need most of this shit anyway is beyond me. Nobody asked for all the Star Wars content. It's too much. I don't care. But welcome to the state of Hollywood anymore. Why would we try to do something original? Why would we try to innovate? I mean, I don't care if people are inspired by Star Wars, but yeah, this is a problem. It's more of this Mandoverse stuff. I don't think anybody really cares about. Nobody asked for it. This Mandoverse is too much. But yeah, that's my very elongated rant of the day. So otherwise, I hope you're doing good this January of 2024, and I'll catch you next time. See ya.